All right, guys, welcome back to the channel and thanks for dropping by. In this session, basically, I'm going to give the first official demonstration of the new Quick Kit Vintage Reloaded, which is basically a huge expansion for the Quick Kit Vintage. It's a free expansion and upgrade. So if you've already bought the kit, just head back over to Gumroad, re-download it. It's quite a large file. I think it's something like 800 megabytes. But there's a lot in there, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. Also, before I begin, I just want to say, I'm sorry I haven't been uploading videos regularly. It's been up and down ever since just before Christmas. I got sick, lost my voice quite a few times there. Luckily, it was no Rona nonsense. It was just me, like teaching and the weather, the dry air, just my voice kept going out and I was just feeling a little bit under the weather. And then right as I got better, the holidays here started like sort of kicking into full swing, and you've got like birthdays and celebration days and obligations. So it's just like moving here and there. I know a lot of you guys will know what that's all about, but we're back, and I sat down and in my free time, what I have been doing whenever I had the chance, while I couldn't be making videos, I put my nose to the grindstone and started figuring out some things that have been bugging me from the past. And, right before the holidays, I saw what the guys over at True Grit did. They released their Craft Tone kit. And it really bugged me again because the thing is originally when I created the Quick Kit Vintage, I tried to make brushes that just painted with the CMYK halftones. But the problem was I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out how to get the screen angles to repeat seamlessly. I couldn't figure out how to get the exact hue of a cyan, magenta, and yellow into the brush. Like I couldn't figure any of that out like at that time, which was a long time ago. It was a couple years ago now. So when I saw that, I was like, dang it, I can do that. I'm going to do it. I got to figure this out now. It was driving me crazy. So, although I wasn't making videos, I was in the lab, every free chance that I got working that problem. And I solved it. And I'm here to tell you that if you guys have bought the Quick Kit Vintage, then you now have your own set of halftone brushes that paint in C, M, Y, and K. And I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. I've also got some other goodies in here that I've got to showcase for you. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. I hope everybody's been well. I hope you guys are all feeling healthy and, in high spirits. So yeah, with all that said, let's jump into this demonstration. The picture that you see here is a picture of Baldur. He's a character from the Thor comic books, created by the legendary Jack Kirby.
Wait a minute!
What this basically is my a quick attempt at inking a Jack Kirby piece. What we'll do is we'll open up the layer stack, and I'll show you what's going on here. I'll turn this off, and I'll show you the original sketch from Jack Kirby. I just found this, I did a Google search for Jack Kirby Pencils online on Google, and this came up, and I really liked the drawing, and I was like, man, this would be so awesome, sort of subject. I knew that I wanted to do a demo over the top of Jack Kirby's pencils, and I often download some Jack Kirby pencils to practice, and I could make a whole video on Jack Kirby. In fact, maybe one of these days I will, but there are others who have already done a stellar job sort of cataloging and archiving and sort of chronicling the life and work of Mr. Kirby. If you haven't yet, check them out. Head over to Cartoon Kayfabe. That's all I'm going to say. These guys are the most prolific purveyors of uh, comic book knowledge that exists on the internet right now as we know it. So go there, check them out. They're awesome. Anyway, back to this. I pulled this pencil sketch into my project, and yeah, then I went over the top of it with a couple of my inking brushes, and I did a pretty quick and dirty job. I inked this. I inked this piece with mostly. Oops, let's get into pixel persona. You know what? What I'm gonna do while we're here on the video, I'm gonna turn on show touches so you can see what I'm doing. Wait 1 second. Show touches. Okay, cool. All right. All right. So yeah, we've got this sketch of Baldur that I inked up, and here is the new brush kit structure that I've built. I What I realized after talking with some folks and after sort of taking a closer look at things and realizing that some of the stuff in the comic book kit was a bit ill-conceived. So I scrapped it. I'm going back to the drawing board. If you purchase that kit, you can still go and download the original stuff that exists there. But for right now, I've discontinued the sale of it and sort of retired it. I'm going back to the drawing board completely on that. But what I did was, in the meantime, I took everything that I really liked from that and I sort of refined it and I brought it into here. So I've got some all new pencils for you guys. I think you'll really enjoy them. I'm going to demo those. And basically, what I'm working on now is I'm working on doing basically a video guide to how to use every single thing in the kit. So I'm going to go through all the brushes. I'm going to go through all the pencils. I'm going to go through all the inks. I'm going to go through the templates, all of it on video, and it's going to be a user guide that's going to exist on my YouTube channel rather than some gigantic PDF that you have to download and sort of sift through. I don't know. I feel like it would be. I don't know. The format. There's so much I want to say. I don't feel like a PDF would be great because I feel like it would just be a mess. It's a lot of reading. So I feel like live demonstrations of all of it is a little bit more effective. Anyway, yeah, I inked this piece mostly with my chisel tip brush. Yeah, it's I really like the marks that it's capable of making. You Depending on the pressure, you can get these nice sort of shapes, and I don't think it's I call it's a chisel tip inker only in that the tip is indeed a chisel shape, but the way I've got it set up, it acts as though it's it's sort of a hybrid kind of thing. It's like half brush, half quill, half marker. I don't know. I really like the marks that it makes though, and you know, yeah, it feels appropriate to a lot of what I had seen um, in older, uh, inked comic pages. So that's what I went with for this piece, and I got it done fairly quickly. And yeah, I think it's gonna make a good little picture for our demo here. All right, so where do we start? Well, what I'll do is I'll go back and just give anybody who hasn't seen it like a quick sort of overview of what the old kit used to be about. Um, in the old Quick Kit vintage, I had a library of screens that you could move through, and there were also some basic halftone brushes in there. But it required the halftone brushes weren't so direct. You had to sort of do some transformations to get them to work because I couldn't figure out how to get screen angles like 15 degrees and 75 degrees to repeat seamlessly. So what I did was instead, I came up with a system of screens that you could basically pull into your project. So, for example, let's say we want to let's say we want to create the brown on this tree trunk. We would probably need I've now to begin with, every template in the kit comes with these three color palettes, right? And they're all color coded. And the reason I've stayed with YRB rather than CMYK is just to sort of stay true to, you know, the really old times, like post Ben Day dots when they were still calling CMYK Y yellow, red, and blue. There's something really charming about that to me, and it was sort of the beginning of my journey with all this stuff. So I've left it in place, even though CMYK would probably be more appropriate. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I want to maintain that um, to sort of make sure that the history is baked into this thing. Anyway, I've got the 64 color palette, which is basically, only consisting of 25%, 50%, and 100%, right? And then you expand on that and you bring in 70%, and you've got another set of colors. And then you expand on that by adding blacks, which is the K, and you've got 370 something odd colors to paint with. So, for example, if I wanted to paint this tree, I would want to paint with a sort of a brownish color, I suppose. Um, Something like Y2. Let's see if we can't find something a little bit more. All right. So say we wanted to paint with Y2 R3 B2 K2, you know? Um I can come in here and map this out. Let me grab a brush. Let's just get a basic round, or this guy. Um, okay, so in the brush kit, beyond the pencils, we've got the inkers and some utility stuff in here. This Ermagarret, it's it's the nib that I used to create the other brushes in the kit, and there's just something about the way it marks on the paper that I really just loved. It's really fat and um, chunky, and it's like, oops, sorry, that's the eraser. I really like the way it marks on the page. So anyway, we've got this, and I could go in and color all this, right? And sort of leave myself a few notes on the paper. For example, get in here, and I could make sure that I remember that this on my color map. This is again. Let's look at the color. It was Y2 R3 B2 K2. Y2 R3 B2 K2. Right? And so normally when I would start a project like this, I would go through and map out all the colors this way. So in the old system, after I had my map in place, what I would do is I would come in here and get all my plates together. Now, I've got the plates arranged from 100% all the way down to 20%. Okay, and I've got a set of plates for both lines and dots. And then in the middle, I have a full stack of plates that you can drop in. Now, the old kit had all this, except I didn't have the values of 20% and 70%. It only contains 25% and 50%. So for example, let's follow the formula. I'll bring in a Y2 plate, bring it in. And the way the old kit worked was you would stack up these plates, right? And they've all got masks on them. You'd bring them into their appropriate place. Let's see, it was Y2, B3. Let's see, B3. Or was it R3? Let's one more time. Let's look at the map. This is why the map is useful. Yeah, it was R3. Sorry. Let's get rid of that. Let's go back and we'll go R3. Okay. Get those lined up. And then B2. And so the way that the plates would work originally were that you would activate these masks, Let's get rid of this map. And then you would go into the mask with white paint, right? And a brush, something like this. It doesn't really matter. As long as it's, as long as you're painting with white and the brush is set to normal, not multiply or anything weird like that. Let's see, let's make sure that this is normal. Okay, we'll set these to off. All right, so we'll go into the masks on each layer, right? And we would paint to reveal the dots. And then doing this across all the masks subsequently would create the blending effect that we needed to create the different colors. So already it's like if you step back a little bit, even though you can't really see the yellow dots so clearly now because of the strength of the red dots, there is still sort of a blending happening there. And then when we go back on top of it here, we would reveal our blue dots and we would get our sort of blending effect that would create that sort of hue of brown. And if something wasn't right, you could go back and sort of rethink it. Like I feel like it needs a little bit more yellow, so I would basically come in here and maybe a Y3 would do the trick very nicely. So I'll pull in some Y3. And that's where we were with that system. And this will be the end of that little sort of backtrack demonstration. I just wanted to show you guys how it functioned. So that was the original kit. And I also had some brushes in there that you could use to go in and yeah, that's just a little bit more in line with what we needed, right? That brown color starting to come out now. It's like a light brown. So yeah, and the whole point of the kit is to sort of create like an emulation of, that when you really took a close look at old comic book pages and you could see, the halftone dots working. And there's just some magic in there that I loved. And I researched what other people had been doing to try to reproduce that. And I tried, I threw my hat in the ring and tried to create the set. Now, this is all well and good, and I really enjoyed it, and it seems like a lot of other people really enjoyed it. And, of course, that kit came with some halftone brushes and whatnot, but we're here now. We've got some totally different sort of thing going on. Let's go and look at some of the other brushes that are available. Now, I'm going to skip over these pure tone brushes for now because that's sort of it's sort of something that happened on accident that I thought of one day, and I thought, wow, this is a really simple solution that I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy. I'm going to show you that last. But basically, like I said, over the holidays, I solved the halftone dilemma. Like, I figured out how to get it done. Man, I worked so hard on this. I had to do it in little, like an hour here, an hour there. Like whenever I would get free time, I was just constantly trying to solve this problem, and I solved it. So let's see how it works now. Basically, within the project, I've got these YRB brushes. I've got some utility brushes up here at the top, a couple of erasers, and a pen in case you need to write something, make some notes, so you don't have to keep switching back and forth between kits. And then, of course, here we've got brushes, and they paint in. Not a vector layer. I'm going to put another pixel layer down. And they paint in different colors or different strengths, right? So this is yellow at 100. This is yellow at 70. Yellow at 50, 25, and then 20. Yeah? So basically what you do is you go in here to the layers, right? And you paint what you need. So let's get in here, and again, let's go with this 50% yellow, Y3 basically. We'll go in with 50% magenta on the magenta layer. Yep. And then, let's see, what did we do with the blue? I think it was basically, we should have gone originally with Y3, R3, B3, and that would have given us, no, that gives us kind of a purplish color. Let's go with a B2, 25%. And are we on the blue layer? Yes. It's a little bit better. So yeah, I was after something like this, and you can see what I tried to do is, I really sort of took a good strong look at what the other guys were doing with their halftones. Again, getting those halftones to look unique was a challenge as well. But I figured that part out as also, and yeah, we're here now. And I think my layers, I think I've got my dots looking pretty cool. I was very thorough about trying to test like the percentage that resulted. Like, for example, if I were to take this, right, and then group it together and maybe blur it with a Gaussian blur, this group, what color is left behind? And when I would do, and in my testing, I found the color mixtures to be pretty accurate, 50%, 50%, and almost to the exact percent. So I spent a lot of time trying to get the color mixtures exact. So yeah, guys, these brushes are here for you if you want to use them. Now, what I realized is while I was working on these brushes, I was like, hey, Affinity Photo. Okay, so like originally, again, part of the whole problem in the beginning for me was that I like working with the vector tools, especially during some inking situation. I like working with the vector tools in Affinity Designer, and you got much more, so many more options, right? But I can't use all the cool filters and stuff, which I wanted to use from Affinity Photo in Affinity Designer. And because there's no publisher bridge on iPad, I had to keep jumping back and forth. And that was really just killing my vibe. Um, you know, I it's like, for example, like if I was in my house and I didn't have an iPad and I was doing analog work, it was like if I had to like, you know, once I finished inking a project and I wanted to, color it, it's like having to pack up all my gear and move to another room just to do that part of the process. I didn't want to, it was really bothering me. So that was another part of the whole issue. Like in the beginning, like how can I get halftones into Affinity Designer? Well, the other day I was playing around with it and I had some halftone filters embedded in a template file. And I opened that template file in Affinity Designer on my iPad, but I had been working on it on my desktop. And I realized when I saw the filters appear in the layer stack in Affinity Designer that as long as you have Affinity Photo installed on your iPad, or at least this is how I think it works, you can use the live filters in Affinity Designer. So I left the filters in place. I set the filters up how I wanted, right? This is the live halftone filter from Affinity Photo. And what I did was I made a series of brushes that I'm calling the pure tone brushes that basically paint from 100% all the way down to 20%. And I've even got a gradient brush in there that I'll show you how to use. But basically, now when I want to paint halftones, rather than I didn't even really at the end of the day, I didn't even really need to create the halftone brushes because I can just use the filters, right? So let's go and try that to produce that one more time. I'll go in here with this Y3 brush, right? And while the filter's turned off, let's do it with the filters turned off, and then I'll show you the magic of it. The filter's turned off. I'll paint on the layer. This is Y3. This is yellow at 50%. Okay. Go back in with magenta. We can do magenta at 50% on the magenta layer. And then go back in with cyan at 25% like we had before. And have you noticed? This is the exact brown that we went in with earlier. Oh, it's so close, right? I think I tweaked it a little bit with the yellow, but it's really close, right? It's in the same family. So check it out. I just turned the filter on. And there you go. There are a few caveats to working with the filters in Affinity Photo. Occasionally, if you zoom in, what you'll notice is these sort of pixelated sort of, you'll notice these sort of pixels that appear. After you rasterize this stuff, those color artifacts will still appear there, but you can get rid of them with some levels adjustment, right? So it's like if I rasterize this here and any artifacts appear, like we can try it actually. Let's just try it. I'll rasterize the red dots. What's that raster? Oh, I'm sorry. What you need to do is you've got to group it all up, whatever you want rasterized. I'll be doing thorough tutorials on this stuff, guys. So this is just a sort of a quick demo about that particular point. But, you know, I would rasterize this. Yep. And so now what we've got is this layer here, which I will set to multiply to make sure, because, again, I can't use the filters to remove the white paper part. So you've got to keep it set to multiply. But anyway, you see these artifacts? This is not good, right? But we can get rid of that with a levels adjustment. I would go, I believe those are black. I would get rid of it simply by bringing that all the way up to 100% and getting rid of it, and it filters it out for me. And look over here, you know, what I could do is I could go back into each individual layer with an individual filter, right? Don't worry, I will dive very deeply into all of this in my upcoming tutorials for this stuff, but this is just a quick demo of what's possible. So basically, let's go back. Where are we? Here? Yeah. No, those were the brushes. Anyway, let's get rid of all this stuff. Okay. Yes, with the pure tone brushes, you can come in and paint underneath that filter. And for example, you don't have to worry about deleting it in the project, because what I've done is I've created some assets where you can bring the filters in any sort of combination that you want. So for example, I've got a set of live filters here that we can bring in, ungroup it, and instead of the single filter at the top of the stack, I've got a filter set on each layer. So then I can go in, and once I'm ready, I can activate the filter. Let's just paint some yellow in there. Once I'm ready, I can activate the filter. And when I'm done with the entire layer, I can rasterize it. Right? And let's see. Oh, I've got all kinds of artifacts that I don't want. No problem. I'll come in here with a levels adjustment. Get rid of the black. Get rid of the cyan. Get rid of the magenta. And we're all set. I'm not sure exactly why that happens, but it only happens in Affinity Designer. It doesn't happen in Affinity Photo when you use the live filters in there. I think there's some sort of communication issue. I'm not even sure if Affinity intended for this to be feasible, but it is. So I left the option in here for you because it's really cool, and I hope to be recognized as the first person to discover this. With whatever accolades and esteem that entails. Anyway, yeah, I'm having so much fun with this stuff, right? And so, yeah, basically, this is what I've had my nose in since. This is what I've had my nose in since December, and now it's here. We're heading towards February, and I've got so much of it worked out. And yeah, I have tried to include every option I could think of to help people get that vintage vibe going. This is Foster Your Affinity, right? And I hope you guys are into seeing this stuff, because at least for the foreseeable future, for at least a month or so, now that I'm starting to feel better and now that things are sort of clearing up in my schedule, I'm going to try to make videos every morning. Um, I don't know if I'll be able to upload them every day, but I'm going to definitely be filming on a regular basis again. And this is the stuff that I'm into lately and I want to show. So that's what I'm going to be publishing on the old YouTubes. Yeah. So I hope you guys will be here for it. So with all that out of the way, basically the new kit is consisting of all these brushes, the pure tone brushes, which you can use with live filters, halftone dots, and the halftone line brushes, making it super quick and easy. So you don't need to use these screens, although there are some situations in which a screen might be extremely useful. For example, um, if you have a large area that you want covered with a specific color, with a specific strength of that color, uh, the screens may come in handy. And again, I'll go into all this in the tutorial videos, but you can use the screens and the brushes in concert with one another. You just have to be careful about how you go about doing that. That's a topic for another day. Let's have some fun and color Mr. Baldur here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in one of these YRB um, layer inserts. I don't have to do this, but it's just something that I do to sort of help myself feel centered. I center the YRB label for the group. Bring the group down where it needs to be. Bring it right above or right below the inking layer, and then with it selected, just hit the group, and it'll ungroup all that stuff, and I'll get rid of what I don't need. And we're back to our original setup. We got our color map, our drawing, our Y, R, B, and K layers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this with my halftone brushes and lines. So yeah, here we go. Let's jump into it. Actually, guys, give me 1 second before I get this started. I'm going to fill up some. I'm going to put some more hot water in my tea here so my voice doesn't give out on me. 1 second. All right, guys, we're back. Now, if my memory serves me correctly, the basic color scheme for this guy is that his gloves and boots are like kind of white. And his cape is also white, and he has this kind of regal quality to him. I'm not even remembering. I can't remember exactly like the deal with Baldur. He's actually super powerful. I believe he's called the Lord of Light. Like whereas Thor is the Lord of Thunder, Baldur is the Lord of Light, and he's in the same league as Thor actually, but his power set is a little bit different. And in fact, his sort of history, I think, man, it's all a blur. I didn't grow up in the Kirby era of comics, although I did sort of, on all my research and journeys lately, I have researched him and read a few of the lines that he was in. Um, he's like a chaotic neutral, I would suppose. I think he's been in and out of trouble with both Odin and Thor several times, but he is also one of Thor's good friends, and like for the most part, he's on the side of good, I would say. And he mostly plays heroic roles in the story, but I seem to remember seeing something where he teamed up with some bad guys at some point, but I guess there are all kinds of superhero threads where the good guys have got to team up with the. You know what? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to approach this. We're going to go. Yeah, I'll go Y3 on the tree for the most part, but I'll put some areas of brightness in there. Yeah, I don't know. So Baldur, yeah, he's hardcore, super strength, super ability to heal. I seem to remember like something about that. Like he can take a beating. That's his main claim to fame. It's like he can take a pounding and like get shredded by some villains, but then just be like, I'm okay. It wasn't a big deal. Like he's a pretty sturdy dude. But I didn't really even care about that when I came across this. I just really love this drawing. It's a beautiful pencil drawing, and my inks don't even come close to doing it justice. But in my defense, I did it rather quickly, a quick job of it, just so I could give this demonstration. But man, Kirby is a super legendary dude, and gosh, I didn't get it when I was young. I just didn't get it. I grew up. So my onboarding to comics was like the John Romita Spider-Man, right? And then, I'm in there and I don't even really understand the stories that I'm reading. I just love looking at it. And then I'm getting older, right? I'm getting older. We're getting into middle school and high school. And in middle school, the bad boys at Image were tearing it up. And it was all about the young blood and the Spawn, and everything was dirty and gritty with like the darkness and Witchblade and lots of lines and just sharpness and just aggressiveness, and perhaps it was really like screaming at all of our like pre-teen or just newly minted teenage angst, and it was just, man, um all that stuff was just, the allure of it was just so strong, right? And then, here I am being told by like, my high school art teacher later on, a couple of my art teachers, actually telling me, hey, you really want to know what comics is all about, you need to go check out Jack Kirby. And I'm like, what? And I go and I look at this guy's stuff and I'm like, man, this guy can't even draw a quadricep, like this guy. I was appalled because I was under the impression that you had to have all these skills of anatomy and stuff to be a comic book artist. And I would see pictures from Jack that where it was like his anatomy was just atrocious. It was all over the place, and I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I mean, some of it was cool. I mean, there was some shots where I was like, oh, this is cool. But for the most part, like I thought his faces, like sometimes his eyes weren't even on the same parallel. Like the eyes didn't line up. I just didn't get it. And I was like, man, is this what the old timers is this what was acceptable to the old timers? I mean, that was really my mindset back then. I mean, and granted, I was a you know, uh I was not a bright kid. I wasn't the brightest crayon in the box. I just didn't get it. But in my defense, I mean, I think as a teenager, you're sort of you're like you're trying to deal with all the inputs that are coming into your brain at that time, and you're just sort of like trying to. Oops, I accidentally selected the eraser. Let's see, the eraser. I want this to be my eraser. And then this one. Yeah, so I want to talk about the eraser for just a second before I continue my stream of consciousness. This it used to be an inker, but I realized that the nib on it makes an excellent eraser. So basically you can come in and with no pressure at all, you can get these really nice precise erasures, right? But then if I just apply a little bit of pressure, it sort of it's real smooth. So I put that in there for you guys. It's a really great eraser. It works wonders when you need them. So yeah. But I guess the point of all the ranting was I didn't get it when I was young, but when I got older, oh, by the way, I've got double tap set up, right? So I'm like double tap to get eraser, double tap to get my pencil or paintbrush tool back. When I started to get older, I really started to get it. And especially since I've been looking at this stuff so closely for so long now. Um, the words I would use to describe Jack Kirby now, as I'm older and I can see it and I can understand why he's the king of comics, it was all about energy and dynamism and storytelling and like in drama. Like there there are no boring Jack Kirby panels. Like there are no Jack Kirby phoning it in panels. There are only Jack Kirby exploding the contents of the universe within his mind onto the piece of paper. Like that's why he was the king of comics. Uh, it wasn't about how well he drew, and that should be uplifting to anybody who's aspiring to draw either comics or do anything. Um, it was all it was all heart, and it speaks to me on a very personal level because I didn't always have heart, uh, and I there was a lot of despair when I was younger. Um, but now that I'm older, it's like I'm living as a child again in this um, in this state where I can see it now. You know, like I don't know. Um, I'm running the risk of going down some super. I'm running the risk of going down some super philosophical roads on you guys. So I'm gonna kind of call it. I'm gonna let it go there for a little while, and just continue into my getting this stuff colored in. But yeah, Jack Kirby, man. I should probably narrate my process a little bit. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out all the base colors for all this stuff. I know I didn't want pure yellow to be the base for everything. I wanted it to be. I'm trying to do this as if it were like a real classic comic book where they were making decisions not just based upon, they weren't really making decisions. Like they weren't really making decisions based on what how pretty the colors would be or how dramatic they could get the lighting. In those early days, they were trying to save money a lot. I remember I read somewhere, I believe it was on the Legion of Andy website, how they had put a stop to the use of all like certain levels of yellows just to save money, you know? And so that's why certain superheroes turned out certain colors. And that's why there was sort of a codified system where it's like your heroes are usually different combinations of whites, reds, and blues, and your villains were different combinations of green and purple and things like that. Um, they were trying to save money and trying to, be effective with printing. Oops, I did it again. Got to switch those brushes. So that's the way that I'm sort of approaching this little project here. Let's see. I would love to go back, and what I would love to see, if I don't do it myself, I would love to see someone else do it. But I would love to see. I would love to see, like, someone go back to all the Kirby comics. I don't even know if it would work, but there's part of me that feels like, what if they were colored in the style of like, gosh, I'm not really. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I don't know. I'm not versed so well on the comic book colorists of the day. But for example, I would love to see a version of these old comics in the style of Kirby, but colored in the style of, like The Watchmen, or Mystery Incorporated, where they're using the four color process in such a way that is like the coloring is as elevated. It's like it's not they're not doing it at that point to save money anymore. They're doing it because they remember there's the nostalgia factor and the beauty of it. And it's like the way that they were able to take these four colors and like elevate them to this level of storytelling. Um it's just crazy impressive, you know. And it's beautiful. And man, like I'm gonna try to do that myself. I'm not gonna wait for somebody else to do it. I'm gonna try to do that myself on this channel. So I hope you guys will be here for it because I'm definitely gonna be demoing the crap out of this stuff uh, a, a lot in the coming weeks. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I might try to do my own spin on things uh, soon in the near future. All right. So I think I've got all the yellows where I want them to be. Now, I can't remember. I can't remember Baldur's exact color scheme. I feel like he had like a sort of an orange vest. His armor was like a purple color. His gloves and his cape are white. His helmet is like usually represented by some kind of cyan. And he yeah, and his armor was like bronze and gold. And I think I'm on the right page. I just we'll see. I don't really want to use. I could go in here and do all this with the colors and sort of try to figure it out, but I think I'm gonna to save a little bit of time. I'm gonna try to do it based on my memory, and then we'll compare afterwards, and we'll see how close we can get. I'm not. I've never seen him on a horse. He's always like on his hands. He's always on foot with his sword out, and he's very much one of those gung ho like rush into battle type dudes. I've never seen him on a horse in the comics. I've only seen this drawing, so I'm not really sure. So if his vest was orange, that would mean we would need yellow there as well. So what I'll do is I'm actually gonna give him solid yellow for that, so we can get a nice orange there. So over here, that I think that thing that's poking out there. I'm not sure if that's the cape, but if the cape is white, I'm gonna actually erase that. We're gonna just say that this is the cape, and his armor goes down right there, like right about there. Cool. And then we'll go back to the Y3 for his purplish. Oops. When you There's something that happens when you've got double tap set up. When you've got double tap set up and you're not used to it and you start switching between your tools, you'll realize real quick that you're like, "Oh, you know, I I see like I just did. I double tapped to change my tool, but I was thinking mentally. I was like, "Oh, I want to change to a different brush." We're going to say that's yellow as well. Lots of yellow going on here. All right. No. I believe his belt was like a also like a cyan sort of thing. Yeah. Okay, cool. I think I got my yellows where they need to be, folks. Let's move on to the magentas. Um, okay. This is where I'll need to do a little experimentation first. Um, so there's that. And then once I bring a certain blue into it, we will really definitely be able to get that brown gray. So that's more of a purple. That looks about right. Let's see. Yeah, that's not quite there. It's a little bit too much. Um, let's see what happens though. We'll pull in this. Oops. Wrong layer. Yeah, that's getting into like more of a purple color as well. I believe the solution is no, no, no. I believe the solution is here. Yeah. The yellow may be a bit much, but I think I'm headed in the right direction. I know it's just a matter of blue at this point. So I'm going to leave that there and leave that in place. We'll keep going with it. I'm trying to leave some sort of a rim lighting thing on certain parts of the tree. In fact, let me back up a little bit. Yeah. Not, I would say the sun is coming from the left side of the picture, right? And but it's bright outside. It's bright outside, so he is sort of bathed in everything's bathed in light to a certain degree. There will be highlights which are really pleasing all over the place. Yeah, something like that. Switch over to my eraser. Grab the correct eraser. Cool. Let's look at the. I think we can go back, and we're on here. We can start filling out all this stuff. I may have gone too far with the yellows on the pants and the armor. We'll see in a minute. My memory's so spotty about this character's getup. Yes, okay, so I got that right. His clothes are definitely orange, right? But his armor is a whole different story, and his armor is like a purple color. Oops, sorry, we're gonna go here. His armor is a purple color. We got to get that right. Oh no, that's his arm. Okay. Go back. We're on the red layer. Good. So I think a strong blue will bring that into the realm of purple that we're looking for. Whereas this over here, we're good here. Getting those brown colors is a little bit tricky if you're not using your, it wouldn't be so tricky for me if I was actually using the guides. But I'm just doing this. I'm actually sort of challenging myself a little bit to try to get this from memory. It's all looking quite homogeneous at this point, but it won't for much longer. Once the blues come into the picture, it's funny how colors exist in this world where they depend on one another in order for our perceptions to be validated. For example, the tree, right now everything is looking so orange, right? But once the blue dots come into the picture, our perception begins to shift slightly. And as the greens and things begin to emerge, mixing with the yellows, things take on a different tone altogether. And the colors become much more independent of one another. It's quite fascinating, actually. It's part of what fuels my obsession with this stuff. Cool. All right. Oh yeah, and then we've got I want to leave like some highlights on his face, but I'm gonna bring this in here to get that skin tone. Okay, cool. Now let's start pulling in some blues, and things will start taking shape. Let's start with the green of the trees. Do we go full blown blue? No, it's too much. Like this is green, right? But this is sort of blue green. We don't want blue green up there. I want this landscape to seem sort of dried out, and I also want the sun to feel super bright Um, Man, that's almost too much. Let's go with even less green or less blue. Let's see what happens when I go with this. Yeah, that's a little bit more the speed I was looking for here. It's very subtle green, but you can start to see it now. Okay, and the grass. And the thing is under the grass, I'll probably will get into that deeper green in just a minute. Just intimating that there's more grass outside the ink lines. Cool. We probably could go with a little bit more blue. There. Yeah. There we go. It's coming together. Actually, maybe we need a little more yellow down here as well. Maybe I should have gone with something a little more yellow down here. Um, and maybe the tree can withstand a little more blue. Uh, Maybe my eyes hadn't quite adjusted yet. Let's save it for like the sort of undershadowy parts here, and then maybe sort of intimate that there's a little bit of or indicate that there's a little bit of a shape to this thing. All right, as we bring it in. That's pretty cool. Sweet. Okay, so now we've really got to sort of step up and get this armor taken care of. I'm going out on a limb mentally. I'm going to say that this requires 50% to get that purple. Let's see what happens. Or, I'm sorry, 70%. Ooh, that looks pretty good. I like the way that looks, but let's go with the B3. It's very subtle. I'm going to go with the B4. I'm going to go with the B4. Okay. Got that. Got that. And yeah, his chainmail was also purple down here. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. In fact, I think gosh, guys, I think okay, wait. I'll keep that in place. I think that what is required now is a little more red. We've got to pump up the red to increase the purple, right? What about this? Yes. That's where we needed to be. So we needed the R3. We needed the R3 here to create the purple. So we go ahead and put that there, and then I'll grab that blue again, and we'll go back and we'll get this chainmail situation sorted out. And he's looking good. Oh man, that's good. Okay, cool. So we go back to the R4 to really pump that purple. Okay, cool. I think that the brown that we want to produce requires a little bit of blue as well. Maybe 25% blue. It's so subtle that it's almost not even there. What about this? It's not really a brown. It's like I think maybe the yellows are too strong. Maybe not. It's definitely orange. Perhaps let's just do a little experiment here while we're on the layer. I'm going to erase this yellow and I'm going to replace it with a weaker yellow. And I might even replace everything with a weaker red. We've got to figure out that brown color. Erase all that. Let's go in with a weaker yellow. Oops. I'm being real dirty about this because I can always go and clean it up at the end. So we got a weaker yellow in there. And then we go back with a weak blue. And I think that the combination for this thing is going to be weak blue, weak yellow, weak red. Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to get rid of all this. Like I'm going to get rid of all this at every level. I'm going to get rid of the blues and the reds and the yellows. And for the leather stuff, for the leather, or actually, okay, we're going to reapproach the whole thing. I think what it is this. You know what? Let's go here. Here? Yeah, this is where I started to deviate. Okay, I'm going to go here. I think that the pieces that need to be rethought are basically just the straps. This sort of, and maybe even this. I think with enough red, with a 25% red, there will be a sort of a golden effect. Like it will look gold. So let's go in here with a 25% red. Yeah. Always doing that. I'll make sure we're on the red layer. Okay, cool. Yes. This is a little bit more where I was headed mentally. Yeah, and it has a little like a shinier quality to it. It looks like it's a little bit gold. And then we'll go in with we'll get the weaker yellow and the weaker red and the weak blue, and it'll give us that dulled sort of rawhide leather color that we're after. Perhaps. I'm working real dirty here, folks. This is just a kind of it's a demo. I know the video is probably running a bit long, but that's okay. If you're having fun, I'm having fun. I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun. Mm-hmm. If I don't stop doing this, at some point I'm gonna freak out. All right. Okay. Now for the reds. Okay. Now for the blues. And if we take a step back, there it is. It's got a brown quality to it, and I think, it's like a grayish brown. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. We're gonna keep moving. And in fact, I think once I'm this horse is white, and usually with white things, we will want to consider that. We'll want to consider that there's shadow on the horse. I think I'm going to use like a B2 for that shadow. Yeah, and then his belt. Nice. And oof, that's rough. I think it's definitely a purple. So we'll go with this. We'll go with this. Oh, that's B4 or R4. Yeah, cool. All right, let's throw some blue down here. What happens when I'm not sure exactly, but I'm wondering on the blue layer. Yeah, yeah, that doesn't work out. Well, that's pretty good. Cool. I dig it. And then yeah, that will be just a straight up Y3 right there. Oops. Okay. I hope I'm not moving too fast, guys. I'm just it's me. I'm trying to I'm just kind of flowing at this level. Uh Switch back, grab some blue. While I have been back and forth with this stuff while I've been working here, I hope you can see that, the brushes definitely make quicker work of things. Let's see, no, we're gonna make that like B3. Some shadow in here. This is all shadow, shaded areas of the cloak, right? And then we'll go back in with B2. All right, and then we'll hit the horse. There's light everywhere. I'm just sort of helping to flesh out the helping to flesh out the form. He's trumping through the grass, right? So there's like I'm imagining that tall grass is sort of helping to shadow the things over there, but of course his head is so broad that the light wouldn't reach all sides of it. So there would be a lot of stuff. Maybe this whole side would be almost shadow, like this. Yeah, and the cape is sort of blocking the sun here, but his hip might be sticking out because the cape's kind of coming out the other side. Yeah, we'll leave a little light there. A little light on the tail. Right? And again, here, maybe, man, figuring out that brown color is something I should have done, I think, before I started, guys. I want to apologize for my, I guess you can chalk that up to laziness. I just, I wanted to flow, I didn't want to think too hard about it. I didn't want to get too caught up in all that. I wanted to just groove and kind of move and flow. I'm still concerned that I need to add blue to this tree. Let's see what happens when I add that really slight blue. And maybe even a little bit of a darker color of blue. I think that works out pretty nicely, actually.
It has a brown quality to it. It has a kind of a gray quality to it. But I think the orange works better. The orangish brown, if you can call it that. All right. Shoot. So, yeah, guys. Baldur, Mr. Jack Kirby, inked and colored by your good old friend Rob on Foster Your Affinity. Guys, by the time this video hits YouTube, the kit will be up. Quick Kit Vintage, reloaded, back with a vengeance. I hope you guys can appreciate this stuff and enjoy it. And again, it's a free upgrade to anybody who's already purchased the kit. I think I am going to increase the price of the kit, but that won't affect anybody who's already purchased the kit. So if you don't have this, get over there, grab it if you want to get this style of coloring and exploration going on. Again, I will be focusing on this stuff for the foreseeable future. So, be doing lots of demonstrations and explanations as I sort of get my video user guide made and posted up. Guys, keep working hard. Keep taking care of yourselves. Stay positive, and yeah, we will see you next time. I hope you guys enjoyed. Cheers.